Hi Aryan, hello, welcome to our channel CA Curious.
Hi Ashish, thank you so much for having me.
It's honor to have you. I'm actually starting with the sentence that I am impressed with you, rather than saying that students would be impressed with you, because I saw lots of things about you and these were really impressive. I saw the way you have been managing things. So our today's focus of the video would be around how to prepare for the CA intermediate, as you scored a very good rank, like 41 rank. And then also our focus would be on time management. Like I really think you are managing your time really well. So I think it can be really good if you can talk about that as well.
So thank you. That's very kind of you, Ashish. And yeah, if I can, whatever help I can provide to our CA community and all my peers, I'd be very happy to, give whatever I have.
Yeah, thank you. So a brief introduction from my side for you is I saw your marks and everything you have been doing through LinkedIn and the document shared by you. So I saw that you have scored almost 99.75%, like almost 100% in your 12th exam. Then in CA Foundation also you scored 85.25. Like, was there a rank as well?
I think they stopped the ranking system from our attempt. So
Okay.
yeah,
So still, I think you would have been in the toppers itself, like 85% is almost the above everything. And then in intermediate, again, you scored 69.25%. Subject wise, we'll discuss in coming time, but I think it's almost everyone knows your score would be almost all exemptions and everything. Apart from this, you have been a very active sports player of badminton as well, and then you have represented your state Maharashtra in AISM National Badminton Competition and secured third place, and then various debate and other competition as well. Apart from this, like I think the list is going to be going like this as such, but still, like you have been working with TED Talks as well and various other social services as well. So I think great list to read, and I think you are just 18 as of now.
yeah, 19.
19, and the list is so long as of now, and while you'll be like 30s or something, so I think the list will be even bigger. So thank you for being here, and maybe if you want to add something about you and just that.
Sure. Thank you once again for that introduction. And yeah, so I'm currently pursuing my SY BCom from HR College of Commerce and Economics. I'm doing that along with my CA.
Okay.
And my interests, they're very varied, and that's why I tend to have a lot of fun even while studying. So I love music, I love Formula One, I love badminton, as you pointed out, public speaking, and I'm a very big foodie. So I think Ashish, you're based in Delhi, if
Yeah,
I'm not wrong.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, Delhi, my grandmom lives there. So whenever I go to
Okay.
Delhi, it's a food fest. I love Delhi food. So
Noida Food Fest.
yes.
So yeah,
So
that's actually very popular these days. And I think apart from that as well, every street and every other street have a different food, and the taste is almost like Chandni Chowk, and everything is so famous that one has to visit there. And you are from Mumbai, then coming Delhi is like heaven for foodies.
very true,
So
very true.
yeah, okay, good to see that. So the first question I will start with is this itself, that how do you think that you are able to manage so many things, while student I see are almost cutting off the things, like they even cut off their social medias, they even cut off the functions, family functions, and everything, like they are just cutting off and cutting off, and I see you are adding on and adding on to the thing. So how do you think you are able to manage while others are not able to? So what extra do you think you make it?
Sure. So, what I believe is that having a sort of a schedule and a routine is very, very important, because once you make a routine and schedule, you can
Mhm.
start playing around with it and you can start incorporating things that you would not ideally be doing. So, if you know that you have a fixed time for something and you know you have those gaps in your schedule, you can always try and experiment and keep doing new things to keep yourself motivated, especially in a course like CA, which is so intense. I feel that it's so important to have something to keep you sane throughout the entire course. And that's
Right.
why making a schedule and sticking to it is very important. That's what I feel.
Okay. Okay. So, you are saying that,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So apart from that, like coming to the curricular activities like your academics, what do you think how important was to have your studies schedule? Like you were mentioning about the schedule for your daily life. So was it important for your daily schedule for education, like your studies as well? And how did you manage it?
Yes, absolutely. And the reason why is because firstly, it helps you plan and gives you a fair idea of, okay, by what time I need to finish my first division, second division, third division. And it also helps you plan any contingency reserve, as we call it in accounts. If you have a sort of a buffer in place, then you know that, okay, even if one day or half a day, things are not working out the way they're supposed to, we always have that buffer in place. And that same schedule, it carries on even through during the exam time. Because once you have a fixed routine, you know when you sleep, you know when you're most productive, that obviously helps you during your exam time as well, because you can start studying in more important things during the time you're more productive.
Yeah.
So that's helped me during my exam time as well, and that I feel will help other people as well.
Right, right. So earlier I used to mentor some students, and this was the same line I used to say to students that there is always a particular time slot in once a day that she will be productive in his study, not just other tasks, but in his study. So he can recall or he can remember more things. It could be someone who could be more productive in night, and it could be someone who could be more productive in his daytime or morning time. So they should do some research about it, like doing different time studies. So one day he can study, or she can study in morning and then for evening, and then try which time he was or she was more productive, and then decide which particular time should be more suitable to them. So this is a very good point from you. I have been following this from last some time as well. So good point. So also, were you like since you have managed time, so did you took coachings as well? Also, I think there was lot of less time, like I think 1 to 2 months lesser than the usual time in this attempt. So do you think you were able to manage your whole syllabus in this less time?
Yes, so to give you a short background, we had our 12th board exam. It wasn't a board exam because it wasn't physical. COVID
Yeah,
was going on, but
right.
we had our internal exams in around Feb March, and we had our CA foundation in July. And yeah, right after that we had our inter in May. So it was a very hectic, 1.5 year for
Yes.
us. So yeah, but again, with that pressure, you also get that motivation and enthusiasm to take it up a notch and shift gears. So I feel all of us who are giving these exams and this attempt, we knew what was at stake, and we planned and conditioned ourselves accordingly. So yes, if that answers your question.
Okay. Also about coachings, were you taking all 8 subjects coaching, or were you looking for some particular coachings only?
Yes, I did take coachings for all because these were more or less new subjects for us at Inter,
Mm-hmm.
especially tax, audit, FM, eco to some extent,
Yeah.
and others as well. So I did take coaching.
Okay. Okay. So I think due to COVID, obviously you must have been doing it virtually. But do you think you took all the classes for complete, like if there is a break of 10 minutes, so were you using that 10 minutes only, or were you taking it, stretching it sometime 15 minutes? Because mostly these were recorded, or you had some leverage for that. So, and even if it's not recorded, if it's live, no one is there monitoring you. So how were you tackling that time? Like it's obviously the temptation for going away from the studies is always there. So were you being attracted to that temptation, or were you stopping you by some other or some way?
Uh, so yeah, I was. I mean, everyone was tempted. We have different tabs open on our laptop. We
Right.
are chatting with friends on WhatsApp. All that stuff used to go on. But yeah, after a certain point, you realize that okay, this is how it's going to be for the rest of your inter preparation, and if you don't get used to it, then things may not go as planned.
Right.
So yeah, I think all of us we understood that pretty quickly. And yeah, although the temptation was there, as you said, but we figured it out. And yes, recorded, 2x has been a boon for everyone. That 2x
Okay.
option. So
Yeah.
yeah, because we can fast track the lectures a
Right.
lot.
Right.
So yeah, that did come in handy because there were sometimes concepts which there may be too much explanation. You want to cut it short. So
Yes.
that's something that we had the liberty to use.
Right. So I
And
think
yeah,
you.
that's how. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you used it positively, rather students being taking a leverage of it that they are cutting off, or they are rather tempted to more time or more time breaks. So you rather use it in a positive way by increasing the speed or skipping those parts which were not much relevant, maybe some other time or something which was not relevant for you, some topics or something you think was not important. You just skipped it and utilize your time for more other things. So yeah, that's good thing, and others can also use this. Also, I think there is always a complaint of students that they have to sacrifice something. They are either sacrificing the time with their family or their friends or something like that, or they sometimes complain for the college time that they have to sacrifice that college time. So do you think during this period till now, have you sacrificed something or not?
Yeah, I feel when we're doing CA, there's always a big trade-off. That social life and that college life. Many of us miss out on it,
Okay.
unless of course you're in DU, where most people they do their inter and articleship after they complete their college,
Yeah.
if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Mumbai and other places, I feel you do it along with college. And yes, there's a trade-off, but we have to look at the bigger picture, I guess. There are plenty of opportunities to network and socialize at during your articleship and at the many events that our institute organizes. The ICAI, we have those sessions and paper
Yeah.
presentations.
Correct.
So I feel we have to make the most of those opportunities. And yes, because like there's always a trade-off, like I said, and we just have to look at the brighter side of the picture, I guess.
Correct, correct. Also, as you said that students do it together, like obviously there is only a chance that they can do is either with SOL, like School of Open Learning, DU, and then do the articleship or their intermediate together. Otherwise, if they are going for a regular college, what they have to do is they cannot do articleship together with your regular college. This is the ICI norm. So for the student, if anybody gets confused of this, so they cannot do it together. Only thing they can do is the way you are doing, like from open and then together they can do it. So also in exam hall, I think this is a very crucial time before the day of exam, 1.5 day that day, and the exam time itself, those 3 hours. What was your strategy during this particular period? Like, for example, I would give some scenarios. For example, if you see something in exam and you think that you cannot recall this, so how did you manage that? And for example, in 1.5 day, were you able to capture whole syllabus, or did you skip the some part based on your like overall? You can not subject wise, but just an overall picture. What did you think?
Right. So I think 1.5 days before the exam, if you have made any handwritten notes, those are king because those points that you have noted down throughout the course of your preparation, you tend to focus on those because you know that
Hmm.
those are where your weaknesses lie.
Yeah.
So those are very important. And you should prepare them. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
And one is that you should never change your reference material. You should
Hmm.
always keep it the same,
Okay.
and that's something I followed very religiously.
Hmm.
And as you said, during the paper, in those 15 minutes of reading time, of course, like I think in our attempt, accounts and audit were a little hatke, I would say, and especially audit. And there were obviously when we read it first, at least when I did, there were times where I didn't understand anything. But when you read it the second, third time, you sort of get some questions, and as you start writing the paper, things become much better, especially in big questions like in accounts and advanced accounts, 15, 20 markers. There may be two, three adjustments you don't know while you're reading them, but once you
Hmm.
start solving them, you get into that flow,
Right.
and yeah, you end up getting things. So that's what
So from this, I would have two questions again. The first one is note making. What was your strategy for note making? Like, were you preparing a separate notebook, or were you preparing it within that book which was given by your coaching institute or by the ICI? And how relevant is test series? Like, were you preparing, giving some test series alongside? And as you mentioned that you were doing some written practice, so was it important to give some test series for you, or either ICI or something outside the ICI as well?
Yes. So note making, I did in a separate notebook, and I noted down things that I missed during my first reading and the first revision. So, for example, if there was an adjustment in accounts or costing which I did not understand, I only
Mhm.
noted that adjustment down with the question number. So, whenever I went through those questions in the textbook, I didn't have to focus on the entire question. I just focused on that one adjustment because most of the time the format remains the same.
Yeah,
So that's how I made my notes. And I'm sorry, your second question.
was for test series. Were you writing some tests as well?
Yeah, test series. I did write tests, and I believe written practice is very, very important. Till foundation, if you think that your memory is good and that you memorize
Mhm.
things, that doesn't work in inter. You need
Right.
that written practice, especially in audit, EIS, where there are so many pointers and there's so many headings you have to remember.
Yeah,
If you practice writing them, it becomes a sort of muscle memory during the exam because you've
correct.
written it so many times that you just automatically start writing.
Yeah.
So I believe that's very important.
Okay. So from that, I would just summarize two, 3 points. One is the one point you said is you were making notes in your books itself, and you very well said one point which I used to follow, and I suggest for people who ask me as well. If someone asks how was my preparation, so I also used to tell how I used to summarize things. So this was very important thing which you said, that for example in accounts, also in taxation, I used to follow the same thing, that if there is because what used to happen, there are 10 questions of practice, for example, for a particular topic. On your last day, and even on revision days, you cannot revise all those 10 questions again. So what's the best strategy is, you can, in those 10 questions, there must be 10 points which are same in each thing. You can simply cut off, strike off, even black out those points, so that next time you don't even see them, and you can just highlight that point which you want to remember from that question. And each and every question have just one key point which is to be derived from that. So it's better if you take out that point from that question, either note it down in the same place in your notebook or somewhere which you will be referring during your revision, either in the next revision or the second revision or the final revision on the day of exam. So that's really an important thing which you said, and I really like this because I myself follow this, and I have really suggested to each and everyone who have asked me that how to complete the syllabus on 1.5 day. This is the one point I suggest every each and everyone. So this was really nice. And for the test series, I have also started some test series previously, which was going well. In that also, I was suggesting the same thing, that the written practice is must. What happens to the students is that they don't do the written practice because of the reason there is no available resources. Usually, coaching centers are also not giving those number of test series which should have been given due to some constants, like either they are not physically present with them, they are virtually, the recorded classes cannot give that feature. So due to some reason, students lack those written practice, and I think students should and must have at least 1 to 2 full syllabus paper given at least. Even ICA take mock test, so students can go for those mock tests. Even they can download the previous year's mock test, write it themselves, and evaluate themselves. If a student think that he cannot afford a test series, and if he thinks it's a wastage of money or anything, so you can simply download our test series from ICI website itself. They are available from last few years, and they can check it with the answer given by the ICI itself. So that's really important and a good point raised by you. Also in foundation, and though it's in final, it's also there are 30 marks MCQ in most of the papers. So were you preparing those MCQs separately, like were you making some other quiz or something like that? Because I've seen there are thousands of MCQs running around, PDFs running around, quizzes running around on different Telegram pages, and which is let's see your opinion on this first.
Sure. So I think the book, the case study book that the ICAI has on their website, that's king. So even if I have looked at some other, Telegram channels, as you said, but
Mm-hmm.
all of them eventually, they take questions from the ICI material.
Right.
So that I believe is king. You can't, and the thing is, we
Definitely.
also had paucity of time. So we could only, refer to maybe one, two things because we didn't have that much time.
Mm-hmm.
So in that scenario, ICI material is king for
Okay.
MCQ.
Okay. So, what I understand is MCQs, you were only preparing from the ICA's material or the basic material which you had, no separate quiz or PDF you had referred. Okay, so I think I also think the same way. So that because what I've seen students doing numerous MCQs, like even 500, 700 MCQs from company audit, for example, because that's a vast chapter and there are a number of questions possible, like in different ways. But I think referring to the study material again, for example, if you refer to the study material, whatever you are referring, and take one more revision rather than solving those 500 MCQs is far much better than doing those MCQs and doing limited number of MCQ which are available with you in ICA material or the coaching material, because I think the coaching material will be more restricted than those the which are trying to attract you towards them. So try to restrict yourself to limited number of questions just for practice to all the students. In taxation, I think there are two parts, IDT and DT, which come separately. So, how was your approach in your exam day? Were you starting with DT or IDT? Because students have a doubt that they are not able to work out both together. So, how was your strategy for this?
Right. So for tax, I started with DT first, then IDT. The simple reason being that IDT is much more scoring, at least for
Okay.
me, and many people find IDT easier than DT.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted my IDT preparation to be very fresh, so that those 28 marks that come in theory and even the 12 marks in the MCQs, I could nail them first.
Okay.
So that's why I revised IDT last, so that it stays fresh in my head,
Mm-hmm.
and DT was first.
Okay. And for presentation for taxation questions and mostly the theoretical questions as well, how was your take to that? Was presentation important, and where did you use the most presentation parts? Like, for example, in taxation questions, there should be a proper format for that. For in audit questions, there should be paragraph formations and everything. Were you using something like this also?
Yes, I did. I had a very standard format, like you said, like for law and where you have to write provisions. There's a very standard format. You write the provision, the section number, the
Mm-hmm.
provision, and the explanation. You compare the provision with the explanation. So I had that format going through for most of like audit and law, especially. And for tax, again, yes, like the first 14 marker, which is a total income question.
Yeah.
There is a format you have to follow, but I also refer to certified copies,
Okay.
and the presentation as such. They don't really tend to give that much importance to that as much as they give to the figures.
Mm-hmm.
So you can relax, I guess, if you don't have that much time. Just make sure that your figures and at least the basic alignment, the basic income heads are correct.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think presentation works out to be good. It's good to give a good presentation, but it's not negative to give a okay presentation. Like you cannot give at least some random numbers, like giving total income question half there and half there is bad. But giving a proper structure is at least the basic requirement of the exam, I would say. I see your exams costing marks to be the highest. I think 91 marks in your overall, the eight papers, the highest is in costing. So I think costing itself is a practical subject and requires a formatting as well. So that's why I would say, was you, because in costing, you see, there is a separate of format for each and every question. So do you think you were using some techniques for that to remember, or was it general based on your understanding of the question then you used to decide?
So with costing, we have a lot of flexibility because there's no statutory format, there's
Yeah,
no law governing costing.
correct.
So that gives us freedom to experiment with the format, whether you want to keep it horizontal, vertical, as the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for me, costing was fully concept based.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked it. I dove deep into costing even beyond the syllabus. So yeah, so it was very understanding and concept based for me.
Yeah, we can see the marks of costing like 91. So that means you had been really deep dive into it. So good work. Also, do you think there was some mistakes you did during the period of preparation until the day of exam that could have improved your marks?
Yes, absolutely. And this is very important. 15 days prior to my accounts paper, I felt sick.
Okay.
I think I had COVID. It was a sort of COVID thing. I was
Hmm.
down for 3 days.
Okay.
So I couldn't touch my books for 3 days. And that was the time
Hmm.
I was revising tax.
Okay.
So if you can see, my tax is the only paper in which I have not gotten exemption.
I was
So
about to ask that. Was it a fear of it or was it something else? Okay.
yeah, no, I really like tax, but yeah, that sort of inhibited my growth in terms of marks. So what
Okay.
I would suggest is in the last, at least in the last 1 2 months, keep yourself very healthy.
Hmm.
Eat only homemade food because you need that stability in terms of your mental and physical health to propel yourself towards those good marks. So that's something I would suggest, and I made that mistake. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good point. Having a healthy diet and a healthy body is very important for your healthy mind as well. So I think students should focus not just the 1.15 months or 2 months. Try to keep it as long as possible. But yeah, even if you are not following a healthy diet during your other period, but for this particular 2 months, it's a must for you. Otherwise, there can be a delay in attempt as well. So if you want not to do that, I would suggest everyone to follow a strict diet and good healthy diet. Okay. Any sort of bonus tip or advice you would like to give to you the students on both? One is time management as well, and on the study part as well. If you can give a holistic kind of tip to all the students.
Right. So for time management, I believe everyone is built different. Like you said, some people like studying in the night, some in the morning.
Mm-hmm,
So you need to find that time of yours, and it may be very, very different to what your friends are doing.
mm-hmm,
My friends followed completely different schedules. So don't try and compare these things with them at least. And it should be your own, but you need to find that. It should not be a very general key, okay, मैं अभी आज रात में पढ़ूंगा, कल सुबह पढ़ूंगा. Try and find that sort of routine going for your
mm-hmm,
time,
mm-hmm,
and every day is important.
mm-hmm,
So that's also something you should keep in mind. And for studies, if there's a particular subject that you like I
mm-hmm.
like costing and FM a lot, so try and go beyond the syllabus. You will have time, you can always make time. Try and listen to a few YouTube videos. YouTube is flooded with knowledge.
Right.
Even on your channel, I saw that you have a lot of uh, curricular stuff that you post.
Yeah.
So these are something that can be very helpful. It will motivate you to study.
Right.
So that's something I would suggest to everyone.
I also remember a quote from this: go an extra mile, it's never too crowded. So if you even go extra step, like you said, that if you like some subject, go some extra miles, it will give you some extra marks. And as well as in your professional career, when you will be doing your training, and even in your jobs, when you'll be confused on how to select what you want to go for, this will really help you. If you have been deep dived into a subject, it will obviously give you an extra edge in your all activities which you'll be performing. Even if you don't have, like for example, costing, if you don't even find a particular articleship in that particular field, for example costing, um, still that will help you a lot because you have lot of knowledge which you can apply. If you go to a clustered client, there will be lots of things which will be required to have something which is related to costing. So if you have an extra knowledge and you showcase that, people are really impressed. They are always welcoming such things if they come to know. So really good point, Aryan. I would say most of the things told by you were really appreciated, and you have really motivated most of the students. I think students should really learn from Aryan one thing. apart from his curricular achievements is time management. Again, I'm focusing on that because it's really important not to cut down everything, because after 5 years, 7 years down the line, when you will be a qualified chartered accountant and you will be remembering those 5 7 years, it should not be that you were only studying. It should have something valuable which you can share with others, that you have done something. You can discuss with someone if you're sitting at a client place, if you're sitting with your boss, if you're sitting with someone of your friend who is not from CA background, you can discuss with him. What I see, if two CA friends or two friends meet, generally CA friends, they would be discussing, भाई ये वाली पेन ड्राइव कितनी हो गई, भाई ये वाली पेन ड्राइव का तुझे कहीं से हैक मिल जाए, कहीं से क्रैक मिल जाए, मतलब दे आर जस्ट फोकसिंग ऑन दिस. सो आई वुड से try to focus on some other things as well. So post down the line, you will have something good, something to cheer for yourself that you have done this. So just that summary point from our today's conversation. So thank you, Aryan, for joining us. I am really impressed with you. I think the audience would also be really impressed with the things you have done and you will be doing in coming days. I think we can have more interactive sessions on particular topics in coming days. Students can comment on in the comment section and can reach out to you as well. I would be posting your LinkedIn ID in the in the description, so that students can, if they want something guidance from you in a particular subject or anything, they can directly reach out to you as well. So thank you for sharing. And I think one more thing I would say about Aryan is he's really committed to CA. I think the first thing when I asked him if he can join me for this interview, he said he's ever ready to do anything for the CA fraternity. Like he didn't mention that he has something to do or something other to do. He was always ready at any point, any time, that I'm ready if that is related to its CA fraternity. So really good. I really liked it, and I hope more and more students can do that, so that we all can grow together. So I always say one thing, like whenever I post something or do blogging, I always say, keep learning, keep growing. So I think learning is the key, and keep sharing, so that if you share something, your learning also grows. So keep learning, keep sharing, and keep growing. So that's the motto or something for me. So thank you everyone for joining Curious CA today. Hope to see you again in next interviews. Thank you, Aaron. Bye bye.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you for having me.
Okay.